This past weekend, I went to Morgan Nelson and Lloyd Ross's Mind and Money Accelerator. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to the R.Y.S.E Movement Podcast, a place where legends just like you learn how to raise your standards every day.
Welcome to another episode of the R.Y.S.E Movement Podcast. I'm Dave, and like I said, we're going to be going into the Mind and Money Accelerator Program today. No specifics though. I'm not going to go into exactly what we went through, because if you're interested in what I experienced, you're going to have to go through and do the work yourself. You don't get something for nothing. You have to put in work to be able to get the outcome that you want. Not just work once, it's repetitive work. Be willing to look at the things in your unconscious, the things that are holding you back, your negative emotions, your belief systems, your values, all these different cool things. And that's what happens during that event. So sit back. Let's see if we can learn a little thing or two. You're going to notice I have a piece of pine that I have got shit all over. We're going to go through that in a second. But you're also going to notice this nice crisp $100 bill. This was one of the main non-negotiables that they set. And the way that they set this non-negotiable was really interesting. You had to keep your board, once you were given it, plus your $100 bill on your person at all times. So the event started at 11 o'clock on Friday, and we finished, what time did we finish? I think we finished somewhere around 9 o'clock maybe on Friday. Saturday we started at 9 and we went till 11. It was a big day. Sunday we started at 9 and we finished at about 6. So 3 really big days, jam-packed full of information, loads of emotions, loads of tears. It was really, really cool. So we get given this board, and on this board we got told on one side you have to put your future. And this was what my future is. And because I'm an extra kind of person, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, this is what I want my future to look like. Specifically, this is what I want my future to look like. It's very similar to the vision board that's sitting up there that I've spoken about on the podcast before, but this is my future. This is what I'm aiming towards. And that $100 bill gets taped right in the center of it. You have to carry this board around with you at all times. And on the opposite side is what we call FUD. So your fear, your uncertainty, and doubts. All of the things that you're afraid of when it comes to money. So that was my experience of this board, doing this to the best level that I could. And you had to carry it around you on your person at all times. If this together went out of your person, Morgan and the crew and Lloyd, they had some fun. They confiscated it. If it was left not on your person, someone was going to take that, and you had to negotiate and bargain and create a deal to be able to get it back. So me knowing all the things around personal development and understanding the reasons for doing stuff like this, I sat back and I had a laugh. I've been doing personal development for a long time. Morgan is actually a trainer in what I'm qualified in as a master practitioner. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want people to, if you're interested in this sort of thing, you'll go do the research yourself. So go check that sort of stuff out. Where I want to go from here is understanding. From me, like I literally had the best seat in the room because I knew what they were doing. I knew the linguistics, I knew the framing, I knew the patterning, I knew the pattern interruptions, I knew the intention behind what they were doing, and it was fucking beautiful. I literally had the best seat in the house to be able to sit back with a big shit-eaten smile on my face going, I know what you're doing. I can see everything that you're doing. I can see the linguistic reframes. Like specifically, one of my favorite reframes to give people is when they say, I don't know. You ask them a question. So where in your life are you holding yourself back? I don't know. Well, if you were to know, or I understand you don't know, but if you were to know, what would that be? The linguistics inside of that are so beautiful and elegant because what the person is offering you, so you ask them a question, whatever it is that they say, I don't know, that's them protecting themselves. It's so that they don't have to feel vulnerable, so they don't have to be seen, so they don't have to get out of their own way, so they don't have to see what's actually laying down in their unconscious, holding them back. Because the idea behind our life is like the prime directive of the unconscious mind is self-preservation. It'll do that beyond anything else. So our unconscious is constantly looking for ways to be able to keep us in our comfort zone so that we stay alive. Our unconscious is designed to keep us alive and not thrive. Pretty interesting distinction there. So if you're barely living, you're scraping by, you've got some, some pain and some shitty beliefs, or, you've got some things that you're doing in behaviors that are manifesting as poor results in your life, you need to look at the unconscious stuff. That's what we've been talking about with the R.Y.S.E movement for 12 months now. It's all about the things that are going on under the surface that are literally holding you in your comfort zone. Because human beings, we're motivated by two things: avoid pain, seek pleasure. So if you're constantly avoiding pain and the pain of the future that you're holding yourself back from, your unconscious is doing its job. The prime directive, like I said, is self-preservation. So get out of your own way, get some help from someone who knows what they're talking about, who's got the results in life that you actually want. Maybe that's me, maybe it's someone like Morgan, maybe it's someone like Lloyd, who knows? There's so many people out there that have been where you are, that have the tools, tips, and tricks to be able to get you past your bullshit and get you where you want to be. Okay, so the reasons for the linguistics and stuff like that and that beautiful reframe is to be able to get people out of their way. Why do you hold yourself back? I don't know. Well, if you were to know, what would it be? Oh, because I'm afraid. Boom, there you go. You're out of your way, you're afraid. Okay, let's deal with the fear. That's the reason why they use specific linguistics and they do these things in a way to be able to get yourself out of your own fucking way. One of the biggest problems, and I'm doing this myself, the biggest awareness that I had over the weekend is just how much I've held myself back since, and it was specifically to do with how much money I owed the ATO from my 22 financial year because of the amount of money that I made in crypto. Well, I guess we'll go down that path. So in 2020, market collapsed, everything else. It was the start of the bull market after that correction. Things started going nuts. If you look back to the previous podcast, if you want to learn more about crypto with Matt, go have a look at that one. If you're interested in crypto, it's very risky. I strongly suggest that you set yourself up financially without crypto. Crypto is more speculation than it is set in stone investing these days. I've always kind of believed that. I've kind of used it in the past as gambling. This time is a very different intention. So 2021, we came into... At the end of 2020, I was a part of a crypto startup called Spartan Protocol. I was like the community manager and stuff like that. I made a lot of money. I'm not going to say specifically how much I made, but I ended up with a tax bill of about $40,000. Thankfully, my accountant could offset that to the point where I think next week, actually, I pay off the repayments because he ended up doing some magic and moving some things around so that my tax bill came down a lot. And so I'm pretty sure I meet those obligations as of next week. So the point where I'm not having to pay $250 a week to the ATO on top of normal tax repayments. So because of that large amount of fear, I lost a lot of money. I lost the better part of 300 grand. I took some profit. I took about $50,000 into Australian dollars into my bank account, bought my car and, courses and mentorships. Like I reinvested that money back into myself and I bought my ute to be able to go camping and have fun with. From that place where I lost 300 grand, I felt like a failure. I felt like I put my family through unnecessary hardship. All these things suppressed my expression, and because I was like 2021, 2022, I was moving and shaking, I was pushing hard and things were going great. I was working with another coaching company and we were doing really, really good work. And then all of a sudden, when I got that bill, I kicked the can down the road. I avoided it for a long time. And like my archetype, I'll go through the archetypes in a second, but my archetype is I'm a spender. Like I literally just, impulsive buys a lot of the time. And that's why my finances have been so fucked in the past. But I also have an avoider aspect as well. I'll go through, like I said, I'll go through those in a second. When it comes to knowing your archetype, they have certain behaviors that go alongside it. I'm not going to go into the specifics. Like I said, you can go seek that out at the Mind Money Accelerator Program yourself. But when you know your archetype, you know what your pitfalls are, you also know what you're good at doing inside, because everything is polarized, everything's split 50-50. You have up, down, hot, cold, left, right, good, bad. And it's either effective or ineffective. And that's the way that I want you to look at your archetypes when you go look at it yourself. So knowing what I know about what things went wrong, I could have instead chosen to raise my standards and start doing more marketing, doing paid ads, creating systems to be able to leverage that position that I was in to go, okay, well, I have this obligation, a large, significant $30,000 debt that I owe the ATO. I have to be able to fulfill this, but I don't want to sacrifice liquidity. I don't want to sacrifice cash to be able to pay back a debt. I want to be able to leverage that so that I can make more, so that I can pay it back if more effective, and then just keep that moving forward. But instead, I saw large number over X amount of weeks of a repayment, and I shrunk. I got really afraid is what happened. And because of the pressure that I put on my family, like we never went without, but things were tough. Things have been tough for the last 18 months when I finally, lodged it to the ATO and these sorts of things. So I was sitting inside of this like very suppressive energy. Everything else in life was going amazing. Jiu-jitsu is awesome, business, coaching, relationship, intimacy with Rage, relationship with my kids, like connected with, everything's beautiful. I've got amazing, great friends around me. Like everything is phenomenal, but my finances and my business started to go absolutely shithouse. And there's a great special forces saying. The special forces saying is, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall back to your level of training. And so because I'd been a personal trainer at this point for 11 years, that was the easiest thing for me to be able to go make money. So I went back to the gym. That's why I'm at Jets for Hungry. I found out the unconscious reasons why I went back to personal training. In my head, I was like, I'll just go get 20 clients to be able to go pay back this debt repayment, and it'll be easy. Instead of doing the thing that I do best, which is a higher premium, like higher hourly rate, all these sorts of things. I could have done that and gotten more clients through that way, but I went back to what was easy and known. You don't rise to the occasion. So I could have grown, I could have gotten more coaching clients, could have created masterminds and done all these things, paid marketing, blah, blah, blah. But instead I went back to what was safe and what was ingrained inside of me. I can literally like click my fingers and help anyone transform their life with personal training, with diet, nutrition, transformations, grow muscle, lose fat, blah, 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 blah. So I went back to that. So I did exactly that. And I got, 20 odd clients, earning decent money as a PT. Like, I have a high charge out rate for PT as it is. Most of my clients pay on average $140 a week. So 20 clients at $140 a week, that's good money, right? But I have no time. And so my biggest pain point, the pain that we're moving away from, is I don't have enough time with my girls. And that crushes me. That literally, like, I've been in tears more than 10 times because I don't spend enough time with my kids. I feel like I'm watching them grow up on the other side of glass. It's a really hard thing to deal with. And so because I was working so hard, I was exchanging time for money to be able to go help change people's lives. And, it was fulfilling and stuff like that. And I had a decent level of impact. But I could be doing the same thing that Lloyd and Morgan are doing. But instead I went back to what was familiar and known. It's interesting how us in our unconscious, even with all the personal, like I've invested 60 grand into personal development in the last 10 years. And even with my level of development, we went back to what's familiar and what's known. So let that be a good lesson to not self-sabotage and to not shrink your zone of, your zone of genius, your level of impact and meaning and purpose and the people that you're helping and all these different things just because there's something fearful in the environment. If anything, it's that cliche analogy for fear. It's not false evidence appearing real. It's face everything and rise. The R.Y.S.E Movement, it's raise your standards everywhere. But at the same time, with the unconscious likes to stay in the shadows. It likes to stay behind the scenes. It doesn't want to be known. The moment that you have that light of introspection shone on the shadow, you can see the shadows on the board there, you have to turn your awareness towards and go, the fuck is that? And start looking at it and seeing it for what it is, not worse than what it is, reconciling with the emotions and the attachments and things like that, and then doing something about it, taking massive action towards that pleasure point that you're moving forwards towards, as opposed to, oh, fear, don't want to look at the darkness. No, fucking reconcile with the darkness and move forward anyway. Do it in spite of the darkness and go, you're coming with me regardless, so how about you just cut your shit, stop holding me back, and let's go that way. Like that's ultimately what personal development is. It's acknowledging the things in your unconscious, scrambling them, pattern interrupting them, bypassing the synapses and the way that our mind works through all the neurotransmitters in our body, basically linking new pathways together, creating new behaviors, new belief systems, new values, and then moving towards the thing that you want. And ultimately, majority of us want this, which is going to leverage more time, more impact, more meaning, just better experience of life. I was one of the smart ones to be able to jump out of my seat and go buy his book, Money Buys Happiness. And inside of this, it's actually got, I'm not going to say what it's got. It's got a little message for each of us that was smart enough to be able to take massive action, go up with our cards in our hands and pay for it straight away. Like, this is a really good book. I haven't even read it yet, but I know there's going to be absolute gold inside of this because I was smart enough to be able to jump up. When Lloyd said, if you're smart enough and you want this, the next 5 people, because the next 7 people, because there's only 7 books, can go up the back, buy this book as soon as possible, and you'll be able to get the message that's inside of it. There's literally a message handwritten on the front cover. So obviously I'm going to take massive action. I want the outcomes I want the lifestyle and everything that Lloyd has inside of here, because, I've studied with Lloyd. I see what he's done. I see the success that he's had. I watch Morgan. I watch what he's done as well. And I have the same training as these guys, not the same results, obviously, but it's like, there's no fucking reason why I can't be doing what they're doing. So why am I holding myself back? And they're the mentors that I'm going to be working with in the near future after I meet the obligations of the coach that I just hired, to be able to, okay, I want to acclimate to their level. I want to fucking learn from them. So I'm going to pay them the 20, 30 grand or whatever it is to do a mentorship with them, so I can leverage my business, my systems, and my people to be able to get to the point where I'm doing what they're doing. There's no fucking reason why I can't do what they're doing. So you learn from those in the places that have already got the levels of success, the results that you want. And you go, hey, teach me. And they go, yeah, pay me. And you go, fantastic, perfect value of exchange here. I've got good value out of you because you're paying me, and you're going to get value out of me because you're going to be able to set up the systems and the mindset and everything else that I've got to be able to leverage to get to where you want to be. Fantastic. Match made in heaven. Now, the reasons why you want to do personal development. You want to be a better person. You want to have a better quality of life. It's the fucking R.Y.S.E movement. It's to raise your standards everywhere to make your fuck yes life. Yeah? Everything on this front side of the board here is your dream life. These are the things you're aiming at. So if you don't aim at them, how are you meant to get there? How are you meant to know that you've gotten there? You need to be able to understand that the people that you surround yourself with, like I've spoken about this on the podcast before many times, the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with, you become the 6th. So put yourself in rooms, put yourself around other people that have the life that you have, because if you're the smartest, the strongest, the richest, all these things, if you're the richest in your circles, if you're the smartest in your circles, you're hanging out in the wrong circles. You need to challenge yourself. And I was extremely challenged being in these rooms, because I have the same fucking level of knowledge as those guys, but they've got much better results because they're better action takers than I am, and they, surround themselves with better people, smarter people, richer people, more successful people, more impact, more people that are willing to give, all these sorts of things. I've been literally holding myself back from this level of fear because you don't rise to the occasion, which is interesting. These are all the awarenesses that I was coming up with. So the money archetypes, this is the only thing that we're going to go into specifics. I'm not going to go into the breakdown of them. As soon as I can find the friggin' thing. Okay, here we go. The 4 money archetypes. The spender, that's pretty self-explanatory. They're impulsive, they're generous, they're present, they're persuasive, and they're influential. But at the same time, they've probably got poor finances because they've never got enough money because they're constantly spending, hence the name. The hoarder, tight ass was my word. It's both of my parents because they're fucking tight asses. Stingy, frugal, wise, cautious, scarcity, skeptical, pessimist, indecisive. The avoidant, they procrastinate, they have fear, they're indecisive, unaware, they bury their head in the sand, they're ignorant, they have a lot of math anxiety, and the last one is the money monk. They're the activists, they're the ones that are righteous, they're, think of all the majority of the woke people. Like, I'm going to tie myself to save one tree when the forest is being cut down, instead of leveraging a business to be able to create more impact and awareness in the world, to be able to stop and, to be able to do like a GoFundMe, or to pull your resources together to be able to stop that from happening. Tie yourself to one tree to stop that from being cut down instead of saving a forest. That's the analogy that was given. So understanding those 4 archetypes is like step 1, it's awareness. You need to be able to become aware of what's actually going on so that you can do something about it. If you don't know what's going wrong, how are you meant to fix it? How are you meant to change it? How are you meant to transform it? If you don't know, and you've got your head in the sand, and you're avoidant of the pain in your life, of the problems in your unconscious, of the pain in your relationships and your finances and your results and all these sorts of things, how are you meant to fix it if you don't know what's going on? And that's one of the biggest problems. Most people go, my life's fucked, but I'm stuck the way that I am. No, you're not. Neuroplasticity says that you have neuroplasticity into your, late 60s, 70s now? I guarantee you, and I said this on a podcast with Chris Farthing a couple of weeks ago, neuroscience, neuroendocrinology, neuroimmunology, like all the neuros that are like studying the mind, studying the brain, studying the way that things work. I guarantee you we're going to find studies and results, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for our confirmation biases, because people have a hypothesis and they go trying to seek out whether it's valid or invalid. Guarantee you in the next 10 years, they're going to find that neuroplasticity lasts as if it never turns off, as if it's just something that is a part of being a human. You're not set in your ways. you can continue doing it until you kick the bucket, until you leave the physical world. Neuroplasticity and our ability to make change, it's what we're good at. It's what humans are known for. We can, look at the fucking world around us. Look at the amount of change that's happening. The technological changes that are going on right now. It used to take years for someone else to be able to catch up with the technology that was coming out, because they had to, invest a lot of money into R&D and figuring out how someone else did that. It takes less than 6 months these days. The innovation is happening so fast, so rapidly right now, because that's what humans do. We build better, bigger, more intricate, complicated systems for people to use to have ease of access of life. That's what we do. And so, we've got technology all around us, like this phone here, it's an iPhone 14. That iPhone 14 became out of date the moment that it went on sale, because they've already got 3 generations at least of the new iPhones in store for where they're taking their technology R&D. Everything's constantly evolving, everything's constantly changing, and so are you. If you sit back and you stay comfortable and you don't go changing presuppositions and changing your worldview and healing your pain of the past and integrating and being very conscious and intentional with the way that you carry through life, you're not going to be able to do shit, because you won't choose to put that level of awareness on yourself, which is really important, because if you don't know what you don't know until you know it, and therefore it becomes lit by consciousness and you can start doing something about it. But at the same time, the moment that you shine your light of consciousness into that shadow, the behavior starts to change anyway, because the unconscious wants to stay unconscious. It doesn't want to be known. It's a really interesting paradox there, as most things are. Most things are paradoxical in nature, which is one of my favorite things about life. So some other cool things. We went on a date with this. We went on a date with our money, and they asked some specific questions that you had to talk about your relationship with money. Things like, what is it that you know that you've ignored, and what is it that you wish that you knew that you didn't know before, and all these sorts of things. And then you change positions and you sit where money is having a date with you, and you communicate from the perspective of the consciousness of money to you. And so one of the things, I'll say this part, when I was sitting in money's position talking to me, I said, I wish you'd slow down a little bit. I wish you weren't so busy and so fast to act. And I wish you actually cared about me a lot more instead of just getting rid of me. I said things like, I'll read this one specifically. It was like, what's this crazy bastard going to do now? And that's what I said, so I won't read it. What's this crazy bastard going to do with me now when it comes to spending money? And I can see that. I can see how impulsive I've been. I can see how it's like, yeah, I'm generous. I want to, pay for people's foods. I want to take my family out to dinner. I want to shout someone a coffee. I don't drink beer, but like shout beers and stuff like that. Like, that's what I do. That's what my habits have been. And now it's so being very aware and understanding, and then, reconditioning my patterns, which is what you'll learn when you go to this. However, that's enough for that. It was huge. We had a big breakthrough, all the rest of it. Actually, I'm going to put up my board breaking here I think I've still got it, from when I did my NLP years and years ago, and versus how easy it was now. I didn't use any more force, but the belief and the understanding and knowing of how to break through that using quantum physics, knowing that everything is energy moving at infinite speeds, and all you have to do is resonate on the same level as the frequency of the board to be able to break through it. So if I change my frequency inside of me to be able to break through that board, I understand that there is no board. I understand that I am the board, and that me being energy, transmuting, transferring through the energy through this is going to be allowing it to break easily. And that's all I did. So comparing the two videos here, I'm going to put one here and one here. This is the past, this is previous version NLP. Hopefully I've still got it on my computer, so I'm not just waving into thin air in editing right now. And then we've got this one here. Look how fucking easy I do it. That's how easy it is to break through. It's literally snap decision. You embody the posture, the belief of someone who's been there and done that before. And because I've been there and done that before many times, back when I did NLP, and also back as a child, late child, when I was like 12 or so years old, breaking boards for Taekwondo, breaking boards doing front kick, side kick, spinning back kick, turning kick, flying side kick, jumping front kick, jumping spinning kicks, knife hand chop. And that's all I was allowed to do because I was a kid. They were like my main board breaks. I've done one punch from a horse riding stance once. It's easy. Breaking boards is fucking easy. However, there was some people that didn't believe that they could do it. There was about 4 women that stood on stage and got really, really nervous, and they kept hitting the board. They kept stopping at the resistance instead of understanding that this is just a piece of wood. It's nothing. It's a 19 mil piece of wood, and anyone can break through it. Kids can break through it. But because they hadn't done it before and they didn't trust in their embodiment, that's where they felt the disconnect, which is really, really, really interesting. So to wrap up, if you have poor finances and your relationship with money is very scarce, it's sparse, you hoard maybe, you spend too much maybe you're a little bit avoidant to look at your bills and to have a look at your bank account and see what's actually going on, to reconcile with where your actual position is versus where you think you are. Go to the Mind and Money Accelerator Program by Morgan Nelson and Lloyd Ross. It will change your life for the better. If you're willing to play at 100% and if you're ready to go all in. And that's what means playing it at 100%. Send it. Send it. Don't sit back. Go do it. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about ADHD again. So what we're going to talk about with ADHD specifically is what happens when it comes to dopamine. This last 3 days has been really challenging, very insightful. I used to be a personal development junkie, constantly looking at presuppositions, looking into my unconscious, changing values, changing belief systems, taking massive action. One thing that I do better than anyone else is take action. The moment that I have a thought with a somewhat designed pathway forward where I can take action, I'm going to take action. It's like, do I actually want this thing? Yeah. Can I see a pathway forward? Yeah. Can I see at least the next 2 steps in front of me? Yep. Cool. Go. There's no hesitation. It's just go. Do I actually want this? Is it in line with me? Is it towards my North Star? Can I see 2 steps? Go. That's the way that I do things. And it's gotten me into trouble. I actually need to slow down a little bit and communicate with my fiance a little bit better. These are all the learnings that I came through from this. So the amount of personal development I've done, like I've said, I've spent over 60 grand in the last 10 years to be able to do courses, coaching, mentorships, masterminds, books, podcasts, like all the things. I've done a hell of a lot in a short amount of time. From that, being undiagnosed in the past is one of the hardest things why I couldn't figure out why everyone else could go back into their normal life and then get on with things without pain and without setbacks. Obviously, everyone's got their own story. However, like I would do a personal development night. I'd go watch a talk. I'd do a weekend. I'd do a workshop. I would do a group event. I'd do something high energy like the Mind Money Accelerator Program. Loads of dopamine, loads of validation, loads of approval, loads of attention, like stimulating, surging dopamine. Even though I'm medicated now, 3 days of this workshop with that much dopamine running through my system, I hit burnout yesterday. And here's a good way of knowing if you've actually got ADHD. If you're wondering if you've got ADHD, go do a personal development workshop, go get all of that dopamine and see what happens for the next day or 2, maybe even week. Because being ADHD, you don't have a set point, a comfortable set point of dopamine where you're at a normal level. Say let's call it from the desk up to here, to the top of my computer monitor, you guys can't see that, that's 100%. And dopamine rises and falls. You know, you can have a thought, which is coupled to an emotion, create a synesthesia, and you can raise dopamine. You can see something out in the external world, you know, like if you're sexually aroused, you raise dopamine. If you're sexually aroused to the point where you go masturbate and finish, you get a huge surge of dopamine, and then it collapses. So that rise and fall, you can manually do it. You can have it automatically done in the outside world, things can happen, or you can have a set baseline, or like us with ADHD, our baseline's really fucking low. So if the table's 0, we've maybe got like 10. But then what happens is we can't get to a normal homeostatic level where everyone else sits normally every single day. So what happens is our low is already really low. Let's say it sits at 5, and we struggle with executive functioning, because executive functioning is the ability to go, well, I need to do work now, and I do work. For us, it's like, I need to do work now, and we're stuck, we're frozen. There's nothing inside of us that can motivate us to be able to go do it, because our executive functioning is so dysfunctional thanks to the low levels of dopamine. Dopamine allows you to pull the trigger and go. So what happens when you get medicated? So I'm on Ritalin. Ritalin allows me to come up to a baseline where everyone else sits. Maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30, 40, 50. So my baseline goes from 5 to 20 and I feel amazing. But that 20 is still lower than everyone else. What'll happen with someone who's undiagnosed, unmedicated ADHD is you'll go from 5 and you'll have this desperation to get dopamine to be able to go do the thing. So coffee, other stimulants, drugs, alcohol, sex, porn, violence, risk-seeking behaviors, jumping out of planes, causing trouble, creating fights. All of these behaviors are dopamine-seeking behaviors because you're at such a low level. So what happens is you go do it. You have a coffee, it bumps you up a little bit, but then it wears off really, really quickly. You go watch some porn, it jumps up really fucking high, and it stays there for the level that you watch porn or that you masturbate and edge to. That's what people are doing when it comes to edging. That's what it comes to watching lots and lots of porn. I've caught myself many times in the past before. Thankfully, I don't watch that much porn anymore. I'm working constantly, consciously to make sure that I have a better relationship with my dopamine system and my dopamine seeking behaviors, because majority of my life, like 90% of my life, has been avoid the pain of no dopamine, seek dopamine. And that's all my life has been. So I'll have Chrome browser open on incognito mode with literally 20, 30 tabs open. It's like, oh, stimulation, 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 keep going, more. So I'm literally high as a fucking kite. I'm up at 100%, I'm redlining. I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I need. This is exactly what I want to feel. And it's like, I'm vibrating, like at the highest level possible. And then what happens if because you're so stimulated, you've got so much dopamine, you got so aroused, you're like, holy shit, I can't hold this together. What happens if you accidentally come? And you crash. What do you do then? You didn't want to finish at that time because you wanted to hold this Icarus flying too close to the sun. Same thing as the story with my previous investments. Oh, I'm doing well, boom, crash and burn. Now I feel worse than I started out with. Same thing happens with personal development. 3-day workshop. In 2018, I went down to Melbourne for a 2-week NLP master practitioner, timeline therapy and hypnosis master practitioner. 2 weeks. All this emphasis, dopamine, validation, approval, like all of this. Huge experience. I was broken for a week and I couldn't figure out what the fuck was wrong with me, and all the negative self-talk, all the negative emotions, everything like that. That's what the thing was to be able to motivate me to move forward. Same thing happened with me this time. I only scheduled in 2 personal training sessions yesterday because I knew the same thing was going to happen. Not to the level that I thought it was going to, because 3 days of all this dopamine, validation, approval, feeling amazing, high levels of dopamine. Oh my God, like we were working. We were like, everything felt amazing. Everything was like, yes, this is the level that I need to be at. You can't operate at that level, especially if you're ADHD, undiagnosed, unmedicated. I'm medicated and I still struggled. I'm medicated and I couldn't get out of bed until 9 yesterday. Could not get out of bed. Not that I didn't want to. Mentally, I'm like, Dave, you got shit to do. Rachel's gone to work. You need to get the kids to school. The kids got to school yesterday at their first day of school, like first day of term back at 9:10. They had to go get a late slip because I couldn't get out of bed. I got home after dropping them off from school, straight back into bed. I had 7 coffees and my medication yesterday. Nothing. Could not do a fucking thing. So you want to know if you're actually ADHD or not? Go do a 3-day workshop of personal development and see what happens the day after. Like I said, up to a week after. See how well you can regulate your nervous system then, because you're not going to have any dopamine afterwards. You're going to be down at baseline, and baseline for us, like I said, it's next to nothing. So when people go, oh, ADHD is real, everyone's a little bit ADHD. No, you're fucking not. No, you're fucking not. If you can go do something of high dopamine, go jump out of an airplane and then see how well you can regulate yourself afterwards. Go, do paintball, get all that high adrenaline rush, all the dopamine and everything that comes from that. See how well you can regulate afterwards. Whatever that you think that you can do, if you might be ADHD, go do something that brings out a lot of adrenaline, a lot of dopamine, and then try and regulate and see how well your executive functioning is the next few days. That's a really good indication. And I think that's where we're going to leave it. Parting words. Get the fuck out of your way. Get out of your way. Get some help from someone who knows where the pathways forward for you to get out of your way, to be able to do some change work in your unconscious, heal and integrate some emotions, some limiting beliefs, these sorts of things, set you a pathway forward and get to fucking work. Yeah, let's leave it there. Much love, take care, like, share, subscribe, do all the things. We've actually got a very special 400 subscriber episode coming out next week. Yeah, next week. I'm going to leave it at that. Much love, take care. I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for subscribing and leaving a review. It really helps us out. Until next time, take care and much love.